Cool. Right, ready when you're bud.
So this is my presentation for my EFMP.
Who are you? Introduce yourself.
I'm Harry McClymont, and this is going to be the FMP presentation for podcasts on Overwatch 2.
Mm-hmm.
So my idea is to do podcasts with different people from the classes and get their ideas on how Overwatch has changed over the years it's been out since. Because obviously a lot has changed since it came out of it starting off not as a massive game, slowly progressing its way up from being small to one of the biggest esports games, and then slowly after a while it just slowly drops down, and then now it's coming back up a little bit because of all the updates that they've added into it. But I'm going to have in my FMP about all the new stuff they've added in and how much it has changed since it came out, because I want to show how it was closer to the start, in the middle and the end, or like where it is at this moment, because then you can see how it has changed and how it's altered how much people enjoy and how much people play the game. And I want to get multiple people's opinions on it, so it's not just mine and one other person's. I want a group of people to say their opinions, their choices on the game, what needs changing, what they want adding, if there's stuff they want taken out, because everyone's opinion is different, and I think that one person's going to enjoy a game more than another. So if I just did it from one person's point of view, they might enjoy it while other people might not. But I think podcasts are good for me because I'm able to talk quite a lot about stuff that I enjoy. So Overwatch is a good thing for me to do, because I enjoy playing that outside of college with a lot of my friends, and I like to make sure that it's enjoyable to play, and I want to see what is able to be changed. But most people always have different opinions on it, so it's always better to get multiple people to choose what is their opinions on it. I think my strengths for a podcast are going to be that I'm able to make each of the episodes longer, as I'm able to add more information than what some other people might not be able to add, because some people do podcasts about things that they're not fully certain on, that they don't know much about. So if I do it on Overwatch, I'm able to talk a lot about it. But if I was to do it on another game like Marvel Rivals, I wouldn't be able to talk too much about it. It's also good with me doing it with other people, because it's not just going to be me talking, and I'm going to have to listen to what they say, expand off that, add extra things, ask them questions, and they can ask me questions as well. Because with it being with others, you've got to listen to their opinions, they've got to listen to your opinions on it, and you can't argue about it if your opinions are different, but you can do a counter argument against their opinion if I wanted to, because everyone is different.
Yeah.
I think that with my other strengths, it's that I'm able to think of different things to say on the spot about things that I enjoy. So I'm able to make sure that there's not just a big long pause in the middle of the podcast where I'm thinking about what to say, as if that was in it, it wouldn't be a very good podcast, as you've got to be talking basically the whole time, maybe have a little break in the middle. But making sure that people enjoy watching it and want to watch the other episodes as well, and just making sure that they're not really short as well. I think about 30 to 45 minutes for an episode. And I'm going to do it with a few people from my class and to get their opinions, because they're all play at their respective amount of times and respective amount of hours on the game, so they all are going to have different opinions on it because they enjoy it at different amounts. My weaknesses, I think my main one is that I get distracted quite easily. But with me doing the podcast with someone else, is if I do get distracted, it'll be when they are talking. So when they're finished talking, then I can go on and carry on talking about what I need to talk about with it. But if it was a podcast by myself, I think I'd get too distracted while in the middle of it and not focus very much. And then I think the videos would be a lot shorter, not as detailed. Not many people would watch it as much because there's nothing interesting about it, because I'm sat there a lot of the time probably dreaming about something else, not focusing as much.
Mhm.
Sometimes I can be a bit unprepared with some of the podcasts, I think, but I think I'm going to try and prepare things so I'm not unprepared, so it's not a weakness for me. Because if I'm able to get like questions ready, so I've got something else to add on if I need to, get some topics to talk about, then it'll obviously make me more prepared. But I feel like with 30 to 45 minutes for a podcast, I'll need quite a few different things to talk about.
Yeah.
Because obviously, not everyone can talk for a long time, so it's going to be a bit harder. And I don't want to be saying the same thing on each of the podcasts, because there'll be some of the same stuff to talk about on each of the podcasts. But I'm going to try and think of different things so I don't keep repeating myself constantly. Because if I do that, it won't be very entertaining.
Mhm.
I've got quite a few different skills with like listening to the partner that I'm doing it with. Quick thinking, I'm able to think of things to say if we get stuck somewhere. Leadership, so when I'm setting it all up, obviously I'll be the one doing it all, so it's all ready, because obviously they've got their respective S&D to do, I've got mine.
Mhm.
So I'll set all of that up so they're not doing it. Teamwork, so I'm working with someone obviously to do each of my videos. I'm quite confident at it now, but I think last year, if I did this, I wouldn't have been very confident with doing it, but this year I'm a lot more confident with doing it, because we've built up that with doing like streams and different things throughout over the years.
Yeah.
Problem solving, I think that goes a little bit towards podcasting. In case there's a problem we want to talk about, and then we can talk about it and solve what our difference is between them. Good communication, which is probably the best one for podcasts, because if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to do it very well with someone else, because you're not going to talk much to them and you're not going to make it entertaining towards people to listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, critical thinking, I think that will probably be about the same as quick thinking, so thinking of something fast and thinking of what I need to say and when I need to say it.
Mhm.
But I'd say all of them are useful for doing podcasts in their own way, because they are either with someone else, by myself, or really related to a podcast, because they're with talking, thinking, listening to other people, making sure that you don't get like too distracted while doing it. Make sure that your podcast is overall good and not really boring for people to listen to, because that's the main thing of podcasts, is to entertain people.
Yeah.
And try and gain a larger audience throughout the time of you doing it. So if I'm able to gain a larger audience, then I'm able to show off what I'm able to talk about. And if I gain a big audience, then I can go on to other games, talk about other stuff, maybe not even games to talk about, but it always starts somewhere, and you have to start off with maybe less skills doing it and work your way up with getting more throughout time, because obviously no one starts off as everything. You got to start somewhere and work your way up.
Mhm.
The equipment I'm going to need a good PC to access OBS to film it all or record it, and then to be able to like post it on YouTube, and if I'm going to post it anywhere else, post it there as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a good camera, because some of the cameras are quite bad and don't record very well.
Mhm.
I'm going to need a good microphone, because some of them are okay, but I want the audience to be able to hear clear and properly, and it not be like muffled.
Yeah.
Actually be good quality, making sure it's decent for them to listen to, because they're not going to want to listen if it's bad quality overall.
Yeah.
I might use Canva to make a starting like screen, a break scene if we need it, and a ending scene, so people know like when it's ending, when there's a break, so they can skip past it if they want to. Just to give the people that are speaking on the podcast have just a little bit like 5 minute break.
Yeah.
Just so they can rest their voice, have something to drink, make sure they can be prepared for the next however long we're doing it for.
Yeah.
And DaVinci, if I need to cut up the video a little bit, if there's like a long pause somewhere, get rid of that so people aren't just watching it with pause being in there. And editing it, making it look nicer. If it's too bright in the room, I can dim down the contrast to make it a little bit darker if it needs to be. I'm hoping to get a separate room to do it in, so there's no outside noise coming into the podcast, so that no one's getting distracted, the podcast sound doesn't get messed up.
Yeah.
And making sure that the people talking don't get distracted, because if we're in a plain room with just what we need to do the podcast, then it'll be a lot simpler and a lot easier to do, because there won't be anyone there to distract us from doing it, and I think that would make it easier for us to do, and everyone's going to be able to focus while doing it.
Yeah.
And making sure that our podcast doesn't get messed up by someone screaming in the background, someone being too loud, or someone just messing around in the background, because that happened with, I think, a lot of the streams that people did last year. There was always background noise, people messing around, things like that. But I don't want that on my podcast, my FMP, because I want it to be a professional podcast, it to look good, and just overall it be entertaining for people to watch, and then not have to worry about random noises, random people being in the background. And it'll also be easier to set up, because I can do one podcast with one person and get them out of the room and get the next person in to do it with me, so that I can just get it as gone along as fast as I need it to.
Yeah.
And then there'll be no distractions from people doing each of their separate podcasts with each other. So I'm going to be talking about Overwatch, obviously, and how much it fell off over the past year and a half maybe, because obviously it's gone from being probably one of the biggest esports games to not as much anymore. A lot of people have stopped playing. I've seen that with a lot of people in the class. Last year, I think most of the class were playing it. This year, only a handful, if that, play it anymore. And with the update it's just had this week, with how it's gone from being like quite a smaller game now to now going back up to around where it was before, and with all of the 5 new characters that it's added, the 1 tank, 2 damage, 2 support, and what else they could just overall change about the game to make it better for people to enjoy it, for them to have a better experience, because that's obviously one main thing that people want. They want to have a fun time playing with a fun experience, because if they don't have that, they're not going to want to play the game anymore, and it's going to make it fall off a little bit more, and meaning that Overwatch are going to try and do stuff that might not work for them, might not improve their status of the game, and it'll mess them up quite a bit. But I'm going to try and see if I can split it up so each section is its own like podcast, if I'm able to, because obviously each of them have quite a lot to talk about. I'd have to decide which section I would do with each person, because they're going to have more to talk about one than another section probably, so I'd have to decide who to do it with and when to do it with, because if there's like an update coming up, it might be best to wait for what they can change until after, because a lot of the things they could say about it, about what they want to be changed, could be done in the update, which then obviously would make that podcast not really relevant anymore, and then messing it up so that people wouldn't understand it as much, because they go on the game, everything like that's been changed, but on the podcast that's what we've talked about that hasn't been. Because I don't want to just cram it all into one podcast. I don't want to do every section in one because it would just make it too much of a hassle for somebody to watch and listen to, because it would be too much information at once for someone to take in.
Mm-hmm.
But if I split it up, they can watch each section.
Yeah.
I can title it what it's about
Mm.
and call it episode 1 and so on. So I want to make sure that it's not too much information, but it's enough that people will know what's happening in each episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my other idea was to do marketing for an esports team and try and promote them. So I was going to do it for one of the Confetti Arrow teams because I wanted to see if I could show new people that don't know about the teams much about the teams, because if like the Marvel Rivals team started this year, not many people are going to know about it as much. I want to show people like different aspects of the game, makes different things to show, make like a little montage to put in,
Yeah.
to show it off, to show some of the characters, make posters, make little clips and videos. But for me, I don't think that would be something I'd be really good at, because sometimes I do struggle a little bit with doing DaVinci and Photoshop. So I decided to not do it. But if I was to do something else, I think I would do this because it's another good idea to do. But I think that if I did this, I would struggle a lot more with it and it'd take a lot longer to do stuff.
Sure.
Meaning that it would be a lot harder for me to do all my research and everything and also make everything,
Mm-hmm.
because I would obviously have to start off with doing research, then make things. But I think the making things would take too long for me to do.
Yeah.
As much as I would want to do, because I wouldn't want to just do 1 or 2 things. I'd want to do probably about 10. So there's options for people to see, post them on different platforms, post them for different people, different audiences, maybe even use separate accounts so it's more people are able to see it at once instead of just a handful. Maybe a whole group could see it.
Yeah.
But I feel like this was my other option because it's a good idea for me, but I prefer the podcast idea for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reason I want to do the podcast is because I find podcasts quite enjoyable. Something good to do and something good to watch and listen to when you are quite either bored or you have nothing to do. Like when you're in the car, if you're doing nothing, you can put a podcast on, listen to that. Something entertaining to do. There's a whole bunch of different podcasts you can listen to. There's usually a podcast about everything that you want to know, everything that you want to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that everyone's going to have their own podcast that they want to listen to. But most like Overwatch players will probably listen to an Overwatch podcast if that's what if they listen to podcasts. Meaning that if I did one, they could watch and listen to it whenever they wanted to. Different topics about the game will be talked about, and I would make sure that the comment section's open so that they're able to post comments if they want to about another topic they want to be seen or something specific they want us to talk about. Because if there's something they want us to talk about, there's probably other Overwatch fans that want that to be talked about as well.
Yeah.
And not just them, because obviously it's such a widespread game with lots of people playing it at once that there's going to be some people with the same opinion, some people with different opinions, but there's always going to be something that people want to listen to, that people want to talk about, and it will just be entertaining for people to listen to at all times, and just making sure that it's enjoyable for me to do as well as for people to listen to.
Yeah.
And with me doing it with other people, they can tell their friends and tell people that they know about it, to help get more people listening to it, watching it, hopefully interacting with it, so I can have a larger audience at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's everything for the presentations. Any questions you want to ask?
Question time. Yeah, I've got a few. You said that you're quite good at talking,
Yeah.
which I agree with, and that is a good skill to have if you're going to do podcasts.
Yeah.
But what happens if the guests that you get on aren't very good at talking?
If I know they're not very good at talking, I think I'm gonna obviously prepare. I'm gonna have questions prepared for them to ask as well.
Yeah.
But I think if they tell me or I know they're not as good as talking as much, I'm gonna prepare a few more so they're able to talk longer about each one, and I'm gonna keep expanding the question after I've asked it, so it's not just the main question. It's going to be added on. They'll have more to talk about. But I think with the people I'm deciding to do it with, they're all quite knowledgeable with Overwatch, so they'll be able to talk quite a bit about specific topics, different topics, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. Do you kind of a follow-on question to that is, do you have any ideas at the moment for any like specific segments that you're gonna do, like and do across? Because one of the key things about some podcasts that run for multiple episodes is they have like a section which is, or a couple of sections in the podcast which is the same every week, so that people get used to like
it starts the same on each one.
Not necessarily the start, but like I listen/watch to the you ever seen the Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher stuff?
I've seen it before, yeah.
Yeah, well they do like the Super Six in that, where they guess like 6 games or whatever, and they do that each week. Have you got any ideas for like anything you're gonna do like that? Like it might be like you could do like a guess the rank segment each week or something. I just think that if you've not got any ideas, that's probably should be a large part of your research, is like figuring out what sections you could have in each week, so that then if you have people that aren't so good at talking, you've at least got these like kind of fun segments
something that can be about 5-10 minutes long,
yeah, whether it be like guess the rank or
guess the character by
guess
something
the character by the sound cue or whatever, right? Yeah, I think that could be good ideas. How are you going to make your podcast visual?
What, so people can watch it?
Yeah, because I think a lot of the things about podcasts is sometimes you like put on a podcast and it's like if you're watching it, it can be really boring. Like in terms of what they're saying might not be boring. So if you're listening to it, that's cool.
But actually watching it, being entertaining.
Because I feel like somebody that maybe wants to get involved in like a gaming podcast.
Yeah.
Usually, I would say that person's going to be getting involved in that podcast probably on their computer.
Yeah.
So they're going to watch it rather than listen to it.
Yeah.
I would say. I would guess that people are getting involved in gaming podcasts are largely watching them over listening to them only.
I think I could do something like where, like the camera's capturing me and whoever I'm doing the video with, and places in one of the top corners, and we could have in the background just a game of someone playing Overwatch.
Yeah.
Because then they can watch the Overwatch while we talk about the game itself. Because we could also have that on a side monitor, and we could also talk about the game itself that's happening, that we're watching, that they're seeing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because then it means that we can just show off the gameplay by someone, because it could just be, we could have the gameplay from someone who's on the podcast with me at the time. We could have their gameplay up.
Yes.
And it'll be, I think that might make it a bit more interesting for somebody to watch, because they're getting us talking about the game and somebody playing the game at the same time, like right next to it, and it will bring their attention to the podcast a little bit more.
Yeah, sounds like some good ideas. I think I think you're actually going to have to do quite a bit of editing with each episode.
Yeah, I do know I'm going to have to do a bit of editing, but I do know how to do DaVinci to do it. I just didn't want to do absolutely tons, which I would have had to do with.
I don't think that it's gonna have to be like super like in-depth editing. What I'm thinking of is like if you're talking about a character, you're showing the character on the screen for 30 seconds where you talk about it, and then go back to your full camera and stuff like that.
But I could also add it so it's on OBS, and I could add it onto the screen.
Yeah.
It could be hidden, and then I can unhide it while I'm just before I'm about to talk about it, because I can have a preset button to press that it will unhide it for me for.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan, mate. Have you thought about where you're going to record yet? I know you mentioned it a little bit that you want a separate room. Have you thought about that? Have you spoken to anyone about that?
I've not really spoken to anyone about it. I've asked you, obviously, if I was able to ask for a room, and you said you'd try and sort it out for me, but I'm hoping there's somewhere in Confetti X or even in here that I can do it while there's not a class on, just so that I'm able to be away from people while I do it who could distract me and things like that, because I don't want to have, let's just say, Ethan in the background messing around. I'd rather have it just me and whoever I need in the room at the time to be there, and a teacher if there's needed.
Yeah, we'll be able to sort a room, I imagine. But a lot of that's going to come down to you doing some good planning. To be like, I'm going to record 100,000,000%. I'm going to record with this person this week, this person this week as well.
Well, if I have it so like the first like 2 episodes, let's say, I just have it so I'm recording on a Monday this time in this room with Emily or Reggie.
Yeah.
And hopefully one of them will be in, and if not, I can swap it to someone else who would be able to do the podcast with me, because I think JJ and Josh both said if they are free to do it, they will help me with it, because I can help them with anything.
Yeah, you just need to start to figure out exactly what weeks you're going to record.
Yeah, I don't want to
do
it
let
too late.
us know so that we can be like, okay, this room's free, etc.
Yeah, I don't want to not tell you, obviously. I'm going to tell you a bit in advance so you guys know when I need it.
Yeah,
so
but either like on a Friday, like in this room would be fine if there's no one in here, obviously, which there wouldn't be on a Friday. Yeah, there's plenty of rooms and spaces. After the Confetti Hours have finished playing, we could look at Wednesday afternoons in Confetti X, because there's no Confetti X games going on after like maybe like the end of March. There might not be any games going on over there now, so should be some time down there. Cool, so have a think about that. But that's it question wise, mate, so that's fine. So all good?
Yeah, thank you
I'm
for
happy
listening
for
to my
you
presentation.
Thanks, mate. I'm happy for you to crack on with that. That sounds fine.
Yeah.
Make sure you're showing as much evidence as possible of
I'm going to research
making the
podcast,
researching, editing the podcast. I would even think about, I know it's not necessarily part of your plan, I would think about making a new YouTube channel with a logo.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to probably use an Overwatch character, or even if I ask Emily to make an Overwatch character for me, because then she can use that for her FMP.
Yeah, and I'll showcase the process of making that YouTube channel and that kind of thing as well. That sounds fun, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's end this then.